Sekisui House has just launched what it's describing as Brisbane's first Neuro Architecture building at its West Village project. The Altura residential project is a collaboration between the developer and its design team, comprising Smart Design Studio, Nettleton Tribe, CAR and RPS Group. To help explain this approach is West Village Project Director Harrison Phillips. Thanks for joining us on The Urban Developer.
Thanks, Adam, and great to be here to catch up again, mate.
Now let's start with Neuro Architecture. What exactly is it, and how does it relate to your development, Altura?
Look, Adam, it's a bit of a new buzzword, but for us, it's really about engaging all the senses. When we set out to deliver Altura, we really were focused on how we can engage all of those senses that people have within a building sort of format. So for us, it's about what we see, it's about what we hear, what we smell, and what we touch and experience as we sort of move through built form. And that's really underpinned the whole approach to Altura. So what we wanted to achieve out of our project at Altura was a really beautiful, positive and calming emotion. It's something we started with in our Arcadia, our previous stage, and massively well received in the owner-occupier market. And I suppose we doubled down on that with Altura. It's a very quiet and minimalistic aesthetic. It's a very timeless, enduring sort of quality of architecture, and it's a global sort of quality of architecture. And we really weaved in a concept called Satayama, which is a Japanese principle. Obviously, being a Japanese powerhouse, Sekisui House has great heritage and pride in its design approach. And Satayama is really about weaving ribbons of green into people's lives. So what we see, what we experience in terms of greenery, view lines, natural light, access to the sky and views, that really informed our vision for Altura from the outset.
And so, you know, when you're sitting around a project table with your consultant team, like from a design perspective, what's actually involved in achieving this neuro architecture concept in practicality?
What we have delivered here at West Village is quite unique, but I think importantly, it takes time, and that's something we're patient with. We generally don't rush product to market, and this was a journey we started 18 months ago. It was a really interesting process, probably not uncommon in the industry, but we ran a competitive design concept process with 4 architects. And an amazing concept came out of that with a really clear, well-defined brief from us. We took that brief and really pulled in hand-picked experts from around Australia, did a lot of thought digging into where the trends were around what people really needed to level up their experiences and value in home, particularly in Brisbane, where we don't have a mature or a particularly mature high-density residential market. You know, and the concept of home is really changing from that suburban lifestyle into inner city, high density, mixed use precincts. So it was an iterative process, but we never separated our vision, architecture, landscape and interiors. It was always one very, very collaborative process right from the outset. And it took 18 months, so a very long time.
And so what are the benefits of neuro architecture as you sort of describe it for both, you know, the residents and other occupants of the building? And is there some research or, you know, some academic support to some of these claims?
We tend to try and not get caught up with academia and too much analysis paralysis. And I think our team has an intuition for what our market really wants. We started this journey and thought process around how buildings needed to offer more to people, and how wellness was becoming more and more of a sort of groundswell within our community here at West Village. And we'd started that. The things that were being well received were, you know, our sustainability, our connection to community, how our open space was being so well received. So it kind of started initially within West Village, but then we looked internationally at some of the trends overseas. And, you know, really our goal was to make buildings that make people feel better and improve their lives, you know, and really taking more from home. You know, it's about adding more value to people's lives in terms of Working at home absolutely is a new trend that we're seeing. We saw that coming before COVID. We started this process before COVID, that people need more flexibility, they need more space within their apartments to recreate, to have private spaces, to have breakout spaces, and access to great open space.
So take us through then, this particular building, Altura, those spaces that you're describing. Can you just give us a sense of how you've created sort of open spaces and different tiers of space to then ultimately achieve what it is that you're describing?
This is, again, something we've been very conscious of for a while. When we design apartments, for us, it's not just about an external facade or an internal four-wall experience. It's very much about what's the experience of arriving at the project. What's your first impression of what you engage with at podium level, at street level? What's the tactility of the footpath experience? How does it engage with the base of the tower? How does the lobby spill into the streetscape? What's the connection with natural light and sound to our lobbies, to greenery, to view lines, and to safety? TED considerations. How do people feel sort of coming home? What do they feel when they step into the lift experience? What do they feel when they move through their hallways? What's their view? What's their experience sort of coming home? So, of course, we've got incredible spaces, and this has been done well throughout Brisbane on many projects, rooftops, with market-leading health and wellness elements. But our lobbies are beautiful, they're calming. They're intentionally quite minimalistic in their design ethos and approach. And I suppose we take great pride in not just throwing money at finishes at West Village and really trying to detail that experience very well. And again, it comes back to our Japanese heritage that design quality for us is actually about masterful craft rather than expensive finishes. So it's something we're very proud of as a business, and it's certainly a Japanese approach to design and how it improves people's lives.
Combined with a subtropical climate and all the benefits of living in the middle of the city, I'm sure it's pretty desirable. So what kind of compromises then did you guys have to make as a developer? If any, is what you're trying to achieve and what you're describing here, does it cost more to do, or other ways of recouping that? Just take us through the actual sort of cost benefit analysis of neuro architecture.
And again, it comes back to value for us. Cost is, for us, something that is always a consideration, but ultimately we're focused on our client's value proposition. And we're very fortunate to have a situation in West Village where we've got about a 15 to 20% price premium over the rest of the market. That has afforded over time us some extra wriggle room in terms of what we can specify and deliver to sort of keep ramping up that premium in terms of product and pricing, but also a premium level of finish. And the effect's cumulative. So what we do in a pre-existing stage adds value to our next stage. And we've had really great sort of valuation and resale results throughout the precinct. And obviously the strategy with delivery of our amenity and retail place very early in our community has added considerable value. So I suppose we've got the benefit of scale here, Adam, and being a $1.1 billion project, we've got time on our side. So it's about building value for our clients on the way through.
I think you've been chipping away at this for about 5 years now. A lot's happened in that time. Obviously, COVID's one of those things. How's the design and the master plan and the staging sort of now in future stages adapting to this new world that we live in? And I guess what kind of changes are you going to have to make to things that you've already built?
When we finish this, mate, it'll be a 10-year Bible on West Village that we'll end up publishing in one format or another. But look, it's been an amazing journey. And as you said, it's been a journey of many market cycles. And, the early phases of the project, Brisbane was going through an investment boom. We got held up in a planning process. We saw an owner-occupier trend on the horizon. And really, we set out to create a desirable owner-occupier centric lifestyle precinct, 800 metres to Brisbane CBD. And I think from the outset, we were very clear that we weren't going to try and take head on our competitors, and we needed to find our competitive point of difference. So we never lost sight of the fact that we were a living heritage village, 800 metres to the Brisbane CBD, 2.6 hectares, which is the size of a city block. And for us, that was our point of difference, and that was how we were going to compete and somewhat insulate ourselves through these market cycles and health issues with COVID. So we have been very fortunate that, lifestyle, wellness, outdoors, sustainability, it's in vogue, and that's really what we've been doing for many years now.
Well, you're doing it pretty well. So, Harrison, to you and your team, congratulations on another stage, and we'll continue to watch as you roll out the rest of the West Village development. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Adam. Great to catch up.